Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Loopy Doods podcast. We're finally back. It is me, Drew, from Parks Bros, and my very smiley friend.
It's me, Mario, from Mostly Coasters, and this smile means I'm happy.
Yeah, he's so happy. He's so enthusiastic. You could call him.
Actually, it hurts so much.
You could call him an enthusiast because he just loves coasters so much, and he rides more than one every 4 months. Like me.
On average, I suppose that's true. I never really thought of it that way.
Well, I'm trying to think now. When was the last time I rode a coaster? It's literally been 2 months, I think, at this point.
You are a loser.
I know.
It's actually been like a month for me as well. It doesn't feel like it, but yeah.
I think it was like early August. So maybe not a full 2 months yet, but it's been a while. But yeah,
Still a loser either way, yeah.
We're back. It's been like a month and a half.
Yeah.
How you doing? What's the happening?
Oh, as you could tell before, I'm very happy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just smiling a lot,
Yeah.
Not upset, angry, depressed, none of those things. Just happy. See? Smile means I'm happy.
And if you're curious, some more context on that, it took us about an hour to get things rolling because
nothing was working.
Yeah, it was great. It was fantastic. I feel bad for Mario from Mostly Coasters. Go subscribe if you haven't, because he's got a bunch of Pennsylvania video content.
If you want to see what Pennsylvania was like through that lens, as well as the other two on that phone, as well as the one on my GoPro, and check out my Pennsylvania stuffs.
Which
Pennsylvania, a great state for coasters, man. We might get into that later, but
if we have time, we'll get into it later.
Quick.
If not, it'll probably be in the next episode, whenever that ends up coming out. But that's cool. I've seen a couple of the videos so far. I can't lie. I have not been spoiler free on some of your opinions. My bad, buddy. But
I don't care.
Well, I know with Virginia, you were a little more like, hey, don't watch it. Let me tell you how Pantheon isn't the best ride in the park.
Oh, yeah. No. But, I don't care about anything.
Fair enough.
Except for smiling, because I'm so happy.
Yeah. Well, you've been posting more than me, so that's a good step in the right direction. But
high quality POVs only.
Which, hey, that's
Top
cool.
Thrill 2! How about it?
Oh, I was gonna plug this real quick.
Please do.
I've been working on this for the past month plus. That's why videos have kind of slowed a little bit, because I've been working like crazy to get designs and samples. This is a sample. None of the shirts will look like this, but they'll be very similar. Check them out at parksbrosapparel.com. It's gonna be the same design, just different colors.
They look a lot better than they do on Drew's webcam.
Yeah, what Mario is seeing is a very washed out version of what's actually happening in real life, but it's all good. Thanks Discord and Logitech $25 webcams for the amazing views that Mario's getting. Top Thrill 2. We talked about this a lot in the last episode we had, and it was right before it was announced, like literally 2 days before. We don't really need to talk about it.
This is one that I don't care about even before I started having a very grumpy episode.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not a great name. Some people are okay with the name, and it does all the things we thought it was going to do months ago.
Almost exactly.
I guess I could throw up the announcement video
if you want. I mean,
get to the next topic.
But we're I didn't even realize we didn't talk about this. We're going to be talking about all of the announcements because we've missed all of the announcements so far, and pretty much all of them, with the exception of maybe Knott's Berry Farm, have been released so far. So we got some catching up to do. There's been at least 10 or 12 announcements across the entirety of the US, if not all of the world. I know Europa Park announced a new coaster, but yeah, Top Thrill 2 was the first, I think, at least of the US parks to announce something for this year at Cedar Point, if you didn't know. I mean, you probably know if you're watching this. So
the video's up on screen for them. So I just saw, look, it goes forwards and then it goes backwards and then it goes forwards and does the Top Thrill dragster things.
Yep.
It'll be cool. I'm over it.
Yeah, me too.
It's been talked to death already. All right,
name
next
bad.
topic. Good gravy.
Oh yeah, something that was announced on the same day and blew that announcement out of the water. Good gravy at Holiday World. It's a Vekoma, I believe, right? Is that right?
Yeah. Vekoma Family Boomerang. Here's the announcement video for that. But I don't know. I think people were more excited about this just because it wasn't a topic of conversation for like months. Yeah. I don't know how long is like Top Thrill 2 even like
almost
before
2 years.
It has been like confirmed. Like years now.
Literally
right?
the
like,
moment
the speculation,
the moment it closed,
then, like updates.
Yeah.
So people are just not like don't have any fatigue with Good Gravy. Even though it is obviously a much more standard roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's just a Vekoma Boomerang. I mean, it's exciting because
Vekoma
it's the first one
Family
States,
Boomerang.
am I correct?
We should say family Boomerang.
Oh, did I not say family? Yeah. Vekoma
yeah.
Family Boomerang. It's on screen, so I mean, it's obviously not.
I'm sure they know. Boomerang. I'm sure they understand. But
we don't have any family Vekoma Boomerangs. So in the States. The closest thing would be Rewind Racers. Wow. First try. That's really hard to say.
That's good.
First try. So I'm proud of that.
But that's a Gerstlauer. So
yeah, but that's a Gerstlauer. So it's something that is just similar in concept, scale, and probably ride experience.
Most likely.
And it's a great family coaster. So I think Good Gravy's cool. I like the trains. I was just seeing in the
trains are fantastic.
The trains are like actually like gravy boat themed or whatever. And there's this excited grandpa in there, and his smile is as genuine as mine. Good gravy. I don't know what he's saying. I'm not listening to the audio. But yeah, cool announcement, I guess, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I think one of the cool things about it was we knew something was going to happen over there. They'd been teasing it just a little bit, and then they show up with this pretty well themed for a smaller family park. Family attraction in a park that has, mainly thrill rides.
I didn't even think about the fact that it's actually going to be a family coaster because they don't have one. They have a Zamperla gravity coaster, which is like my least favorite model of kiddie coaster because it's like just not good for kids.
Yeah.
Like slams you. I have a feeling that this will probably even be a better starter coaster than that as well, just because the transitions seem a lot more like natural and fluid and whatnot.
I genuinely think this ride might have some of the longest lines in the entire park, not just because of capacity reasons, just because it is so easy to reach.
Oh, for sure it will.
So many more people.
Because there's so many families going to that park. I mean, we went on one of the busiest days, I feel like, ever, probably. And there were so many families, and the only draws for them are like kiddie like rides, like flat rides, and then the water park. So it'll be a nice draw for younger guests.
Yeah, I
think actually like go on a coaster now without like having the pants scared off of them.
I will say they might get a little scared looking at the track ending like it does, because it does get pretty steep. Yeah, I mean that's
an intimidating aesthetic, I guess. Yeah,
but outside of the gravity coaster, it still is going to be the tamest ride there. Here's some stats for you: 721.8 feet long. I don't know why they were so exact on that, but fair enough. 77 feet high. I think that's just the height of the spike on there. You're not actually going to get up to that high. Top speed of 37 miles an hour, which it is faster than any Disneyland coaster specifically, if you're curious about that, because even Space Mountain only goes like 25, I think. So moderately quick, but not, anything, absolutely spine-chilling. Duration of 1 minute, 5 seconds. Cost of $10 million, which honestly, not a bad price, especially if they're including all the theming and the custom trains in that price. And it'll be in between Voyage and Thunderbird, which there's nothing on that walk right now. So that's going to be a fantastic way to break that up. I was
just looking at a rendering of it too, and that was what I was just starting to notice. But yeah, that's great. Like it's right next to their like pirate ship ride, like the Mayflower or something, I think is what it's called.
Well, it might have replaced it, actually.
No, in the rendering it's still there. It's on the other side of the walkway from it. But yeah, it's filling some of that walkway. I mean, the hill itself that has like no shade is still like there. So that's not great. But that is a sort of like dead part of the park. I mean, like most like the flat rides are really in like the front of the park. Most of the rides in general are in the front of the park, but then like you get over to that little like side pathway, there's nothing. But yeah, it looks nice. It looks like there's like a little play structure too, like a little park, like recreational park, sort of, if you will, in one of the turns of the coaster. So like, if it ends up being anything like the renderings, it'll be great. I know a lot of times the renderings are not super accurate, but the rendering itself is not particularly ambitious. That's why I feel like it will probably be fairly accurate.
Yeah,
it's just
I
like
agree.
a minimal amount of planters, a few trees, a couple of shade structures, and it's like, okay, that seems like a very realistic expectation.
Yeah, and then you have the main
Sometimes
building.
like you see the rendering and it's like okay, it is not going to look anything like that,
yeah,
but
totally.
it'll look like this probably.
But looks like main station and queue building. Doesn't look like any of the queues outside, which is cool. Good to know. Hopefully it's got AC. There does seem to be a
hopefully
second...
the walkways are longer than the other, like the
True.
actual chutes or whatever.
Yeah. But it looks like they have a little souvenir hut, if you will, also. And then, of course, they'll have like a little drink stand, it looks like, next to a giant bottle of milk, which I think is kind of cool. With a nice little seating area, some nice little shade structures. I will say it's still going to be a walk back to Thunderbird, but that taking up the spot of Pilgrim's Plunge, I think is a great thing. Because it gives more reason to go past Voyage outside of just Thunderbird, which I think is really cool.
Well, even if you're not necessarily going to go on it, it's just going to be nice that there's like some type of like kinetic energy and like somewhat of an ambiance versus just like dead nothingness. So,
yeah, that was my favorite, looking to the right there and seeing nothing but
just
corn.
Nothing. Yeah. I think that part of the park is so desolate that it's like not even corn. If I recall correctly, it's just like an empty... Like,
yeah, I think it's just grass,
plot.
Actually.
Maybe a couple trees, but yeah.
Yeah.
So even more desolate than corn.
Now, the layout itself, I don't think is the most impressive thing, but it's not going to be. I think it'll be really fun going forwards and backwards, though. And yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it's great for the park. It's not going to get me to visit the park again, like alone, but I can tell you if they add some more things like this in the future, I would definitely show back up and like to experience all of it. So, I mean, then again, we're both, thrill seekers at heart, realistically, so we're gonna go back for more rides on Voyage or Legend or even Thunderbird. So but that's just a nice little added bonus for us and a great addition for all the families that visit that park on the regular. Speaking of after that, I mean, we can stay in line with a similar announcement just an hour and a half away, or we can hop over to a park that you just visited with Dorney. I'm not sure which way you want to go with it, but both Kings Island.
Dorney's the next thing I have open tab-wise.
Okay, cool. So we'll go to Dorney, which you visited. We might be able to talk about it a little later on. Yeah, Dorney announced Iron Menace. Dorney Park, if you don't know, is a Cedar Fair-owned park in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It doesn't really have a star attraction, at least in my mind. You have a Morgan Hypercoaster.
Steel Force is a star attraction, in my opinion.
Steel Force is? Okay. Well, what about Hydra?
It doesn't seem like it on like paper or anything. Like, or you're just like, I mean, compared to like a lot of other park star attractions, but like it's surprised. Like it was. You've been on Steel Eel, right?
Yeah, I love Steel Eel. I think it's great. Yeah.
It's like a better version of that. So it's like actually a star attraction, just like disguised as a bland.
I'm sorry, Dorney
bland
fans.
hypercoaster.
I'm so sorry. Oh man, that's actually great then.
But I mean, you're not wrong in that it doesn't have any like modern standout coaster, because like they haven't received like a ground up coaster in over a decade, I believe. So
yeah, I think so. And then there was the rumored, they had a rumored Gravity Group shuttle coaster last year. And now we know it's a Beyond Vertical B&M dive coaster, which is going to be pretty crazy for the park, I think. Great draw for the area. Completely new for like that side of Pennsylvania and like New Jersey.
That stretch of like, from Jersey to like Hershey.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the wooden coaster still would have been more interesting and unique for the park. Like they have a old classic wooden coaster in Thunderhawk, but they already have 2 looping B&Ms.
Mm-hmm.
So they already have like the graceful / slightly aggressive, like smooth inversions on lock.
Yeah.
So like other than the dive aspect and beyond vertical drop, the rest of the ride won't be anything too special for the park. That being said, I mean, it's dope that they're getting a modern ground up roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very fascinated still by this relatively new concept of these beyond vertical drops on dive coasters.
Well, at least the
I
B&M
love that
version,
aspect of it regardless.
Yeah, I think it'll be...
What's that?
Well, I'm just saying, at least for the B&M version, because, I mean, whether you count hang time as a dive coaster traditionally or not is up for debate, but for a B&M, I mean, it's 95 degrees, right, the drop?
That's what it says, yeah.
Which I have not experienced oh my goodness, I almost called it Daredevil dive, but Dr. Diabolical yet.
Right, okay.
So...
Yeah.
And I think it's 7 across seating, just like Dr. Diabolical as well. Yeah, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. So it's a bigger train than something like Emperor, but it's a smaller train than Valraven, Shikra, and especially Griffin, because I know Griffin's the 10 across, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to be great for the park, though. The layout's really interesting. Definitely more Emperor-esque, I guess.
I was thinking that as well, like a more stretched out version of Emperor, where I mean, I'm watching the POV right now, and obviously it's an animation, so we'll see. But I do prefer if you're gonna have like such large inversions for there to be some hang time or something in there versus just like going through them at a moderate pace that neither provides positive G-forces nor negative G-forces. But it does have a couple of rolls, so it has the second inversion is like a 0G roll.
Yeah.
And then the third inversion is like a barrel roll, or I don't know what they're calling them.
Well,
but
so
let's see. Barrel roll and corkscrew. So I
there's
mean,
also the
those are more
loop.
likely. Yeah, the tilted loop is interesting in that it's like unique.
Well, it's the first one in like 26 years or something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a throwback. And it's the only one on a B&M that I can think of that wasn't designed for a stand-up coaster. Obviously, like Rougarou has that inclined loop, which is actually a really awesome element because of like how weirdly designed it is and how it pulls you through. But that was designed for Mantis as a stand-up coaster. So it is interesting, I guess, that they designed a tilted loop for a dive coaster. I just don't know that that's going to provide much from like a force perspective.
I don't
know I think it'll be either, like cool visually.
Yeah, I find it a little funny that like after all this time they're like, "Hey, let's throw in an incline loop." It's like, "Oh, all right, sure."
I mean, I like it for variety's sake because it's not like I think like a loop of that size would provide much of a much excitement either.
Probably not. Might be a little better on forces, but it's tough to say. I mean, we'll have to wait until the ride's actually built, you know. But I think it's going to be great for the park, though. I think if they're able to keep up the theming like they have in the concept art with like the I forget what theme they're exactly going for, but it's like kind of like a forge, if I remember correctly. Which if they can go along those lines really well, I think it would be awesome. I know Cedar Fair has been pretty decent with their theming as of late. Just looking at like Copperhead Strike as an example, it could be really cool. I'm pretty excited for it. I don't know if it'll get me out to Dorney particularly, but I will say I would like to get to Pennsylvania before too late at this point. So that would definitely be included.
Will, at the very least, if someone's considering whether or not going, it could very well just be that extra little push to get someone there.
Oh yeah,
like it's obviously not enough to get me to go out there just for that. But again, since it is only like a little over like an hour away from somewhere like Hershey, or it's also nearby Jersey, like, you know, they don't need too much of a push to help make people get that make that decision of whether or not to go.
Personally, if I was out there on a trip, right, and I didn't have a platinum pass, which it's looking like next year I won't because of the knots changes. We can talk about that eventually. But like if I didn't have a pass, if I was already out there, I would buy a day ticket now. Whereas before, I don't know if I would have. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I guess it is that deciding factor for me at this point. Because it's their 8th coaster at the park?
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
So,
but yeah, I mean, I think Dorney's actually better than people will give it credit for, or maybe it's not even people not crediting it. It's just like not as visited either. But some of like the nice things about it are things you wouldn't know till you go. Like a 100-year-old wooden coaster that no one really talks about in Thunderhawk being like one of the better rides at the park. The park just being like actually like a really pretty park to be in as well. And then their star attraction being 20-plus-year-old Morgan Hyper coaster that you didn't even think was capable of like being a star attraction when it is. Yeah. It's like there's a lot of stuff that you would enjoy if you go, but wouldn't know about beforehand. So this is really just putting more modern attention on the park versus like a lot of stuff that's been there forever, thus gets overlooked.
That makes sense. Okay. That's actually good to hear that the park is better than, most people seem to perceive it as, because I've never really heard the best things about Dorney outside of their coaster lineup isn't that great, because, you have a bunch of spoiled enthusiasts that are visiting Hershey Park all the time, or Great Adventure with, twice as many coasters at those parks each. So I don't know. That's actually kind of reassuring to me that I should definitely visit whenever I get out to Pennsylvania.
I mean, it's also worth going because you can like do whatever you want there. It's like really dead. Like I was there in the middle of the summer, like beginning of August, and like Hershey Park the day before was slammed. Knoebels on a Monday, like 45-minute waits for Phoenix, like at a park that's not known for being particularly busy. Like so it was peak theme park season. Other theme parks relatively nearby were slammed, so it's just like it doesn't get crowded. So it's also enjoyable to go to for that reason.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. That's good to know. And I'm glad they're getting a coaster too. I mean, it's been over a decade, right? So I think that's great. There are a lot of parks out there that deserve at least a little something. Michigan's Adventure. I'm speaking of you. I don't know if you want to...
I know, man. I mean, maybe they'll be next. No one would have guessed Dorney would actually be getting anything decent, well, so hopefully.
Hey, this is the perfect segue. This is a park that we never thought was getting a new coaster. We're going to skip.
Cedar Fair ignores them always. Oh, are we not doing Snoopy?
I'm talking... No, I'm
I
not
thought you were being
about
facetious.
Snoopy.
I thought you were like, Kings Island never gets anything.
No, I forgot. One of the announcements I forgot because there were so many... Part of the Six Flags announcements, Great Escape is getting a roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
Bobcat.
They're getting the Gravity Group, right? Yeah.
I
pull that up.
believe it's Gravity Group, yeah. But their announcement video was No Limits 2, which I found a little funny, to say the least. But yeah, it looks like Gravity Group, pretty solid little layout. Nothing too crazy or anything. Height of 55 feet, speed of 40 miles an hour. I think it's going to be great, especially for Great Escape. I mean, Great Escape hasn't gotten a coaster in, 30 years?
I have no idea.
Let me check. Their last...
Do they not even have a video for it on their website?
Sorry. Just about 20 years was their last roller coaster. So... Frankie's Mine Train opened in 2005. But I think that's
they don't even...
It's a kiddie coaster, yeah.
Sorry. I'm just trying to find like something to show on screen, and like I go to their website, they have the announcement for it, and then it's just text. It's like 3 one-sentence paragraphs.
Well, if you want some No Limits
run like a
pictures,
bobcat along this wooden family coasters track, the first of its kind in Six Flags history.
Yeah, they don't have a Gravity Group, do they?
Bro, I said I wasn't going to rant about Six Flags in this episode, but like the first of its kind in Six Flags history.
I mean,
like, yeah, I guess.
I know, it's just another wooden coaster. I understand from that type of standpoint.
What if they like get a new Vekoma boomerang and they're like, oh look, we painted it rainbow colored, a first of its kind in Six Flags history. We've never painted one of our coasters every one of the main colors in the rainbow. How about that? Like a first of its kind. Like Six Flags has plenty of wooden coasters all throughout their parks. It's not.
Look.
No, the general public does not care about the manufacturer of the coaster.
Let's just celebrate a win. Great Escape is getting a coaster.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, we're literally trying to talk about this coaster and bring attention to the park. And the first sentence is you're telling me it's something that's first of its kind, which is like barely true. The first sentence is run like a bobcat along this wooden family coaster's track. Like, give me a visual aid. I'm practically illiterate. Come on.
So the video portion is within the greater Six Flags announcement for the entire chain.
Oh, okay. So they don't even have any visual representation
well, like the only
associated with Six Flags Great Escape specifically. Only the chain-wide announcement.
Yeah, they have the chain-wide announcement, which I think every park only got that for the Six Flags chain this year. And their announcement is literally a No Limits 2 recreation in video form.
I don't even have a problem with that, to be honest.
Well, and then it switches.
Not like anyone outside of enthusiasts are going to be like, "That's just No Limits 2." It's like it's giving somewhat of a basic
well, then it switches to real life footage of a Gravity group. I forget which Gravity group, but I can look it up right now. Let's see, Six Flags 2024.
Sorry for the rant, everybody.
There we go. 1 minute long. Oh, I'm getting a Horror Nights ad.
That's not what we're talking about.
I know it's not. You going, by the way? Question mark?
No.
Me neither.
Maybe. I don't know. Javi's going to go with a couple of her friends, and then if she wants to go back, I'll go with her, I guess. I'll let her decide if it's very good or not.
Do you want me to send you the link to the video, by the way?
Please.
Okay. Because it actually starts out with Fiesta Texas, which they've got a pretty big thing this year, which I think is cool. And I'm sorry, I know you don't have to say anything about it. It was just the first one. But yeah, I think it's it's towards the middle. It's about 35 seconds in. Great Escape, the Bobcat, and it shows off the video. Oh, for 3 seconds. Okay, it doesn't even.
Bro, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, come on. You want people to get excited about your new additions, which it is, like you said, it is exciting. They haven't gotten a coaster in forever, and it is unique to them, like, to have, like, this, modern wooden coaster. Get people excited about it by doing more than, like, this ad is also probably AI generated. Okay, we weren't supposed to go on the Six Flags rant today, but they literally posted an AI generated ad for the Fright Fest.
Yeah. Anyway,
this is probably AI generated.
Fiesta Texas.
Like, or they plugged in a couple of pictures and videos into a template. Like, this is not.
So Fiesta Texas is getting a whole new DC Universe area, including a monorail.
Yeah, that's good.
That's crazy.
That's cool.
Whoa, so cool.
I also, for some reason, thought they already had a Nebula Z.
That's understandable.
Like that Zamperla spinning thing, but it's the air race, like the one where it goes like this.
Yeah.
But and that one's doing the one that goes like this.
And that one's called Daredevil Dive, which it's always.
Oh right, it is.
Yeah. Huh? Which I never got to ride it. I never got to ride it.
I never got to ride it neither.
Every time I've been, it was either under construction or closed for the day, which was a bummer because I really wanted to check it out. But it's all good. I gotta go back.
Have you been on a Nebula?
I have not, but I've not heard the best things. So I know you rode one in Hershey Park.
Yeah, I think they're a good addition. Again, just for that kinetic energy, like they look awesome.
They look amazing.
They do almost nothing, and I hate when rides like the entirety of the seat and headrest is fiberglass. Because even if you so much as tap your head on it, because it doesn't like toss you around, so it's not like aggressive, like in the slightest. It's boringly tame.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you just move your head too quickly and like tap it, like it hurts because it's like hard as a rock. Like it's just straight fiberglass.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a good kiddie ride essentially.
Well, it's
that
like,
just like looks more exciting than it is. I expected like some floating at the top, but it's visually kind of cool, almost colliding.
4 camp buses.
And then you have to wait
stacked on top of each other. That's all the ride really is.
Essentially, yeah.
You know.
And then I think as soon as you get like over the shoulder restraints like that, like on a ride, like it gives the impression that it's going to be a thrill ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like from a general public perspective,
totally.
At least. But yeah, and then also I don't know if you saw the Hershey vlog at all, but these load like one level at a time. So you go through like half of the ride cycle, sit at the top for however long it takes for them to load the next one, and then complete the ride cycle.
Which is not a fun experience.
You just sit up in the sun for like for us it was 5 minutes, so like obviously it depends on the operations. I don't think the person was going particularly slow. It just takes a second to walk around the whole ride, check everything, and dispatch. It's a single operator ride as well, so it's like
interesting.
Just slow in that regard.
Yeah.
I'm this is actually not even me like ranting or being negative. It's just like talking about it because I just went on one and
I mean, it's interesting.
By it.
It's definitely interesting. I honestly, maybe this is a little weird of me, but I would much rather have it be just like a statue or like a weenie, a kinetic weenie in the middle of a land. Weenie meaning like
I don't
it
want
gets your
any
attention.
weenies in the new kitty area.
I forget you don't really know the Disney lingo too much. A weenie is an attention grabber. So like the castle, you see that from a distance and you're like, oh yeah, okay. Because Walt's dogs, he used to hold hot dogs and he's like, you want a weenie? And they'd be like from across the room, they'd see it and run to it. So that's where that term kind of got coined. But yeah, I would like it as more of a kinetic statue than I think an actual functioning ride, which is kind of weird.
I mean, I not everyone's gonna have the same opinion on it, and like it's not bad to have like a mild ride either.
No, not at all.
So I think overall a plus. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like if it's not even gonna be that good of a ride experience, might as well have it just be something that's just eye catching.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
but the little small drop towers slap.
Oh yeah,
small drop towers are good. Yeah, right. Have you ever been on a tiny drop tower that you didn't like? Like one that's like an actual like free for all drop, not like a frog hopper.
Well, you're talking about the Larson ones, I think, right? Because it's a Larson.
The Larson ones, and then ones that aren't necessarily Larson, but like are pretty much the exact same.
But they're putting one into Fiesta Texas as well, correct?
So I don't know who's making it, but
it's the same type
from the one cartoonish picture that we see of it. It looks like it will probably be something similar to it.
It looks like the Larson ones, but I'm not sure. Regardless, those are amazing. Those are fantastic. Some of my favorites for sure.
Yeah.
And
I think that'll be really fun.
If they repaint that whole area, get some more theming in that section, I think it'll be really cool and cohesive. And because that area of the park, like, is kind of oddly not DC themed, but all the rides almost are DC themed. So you're just like walking through generic amusement park, and then it's like Superman sign. Oh, there's Batman over there. And so I think it'll be a more cohesive theming experience for that entire back section of the park. Obviously, it'll get a little weird with Rockville in that section going towards Wonder Woman specifically. But like outside of that, I think it'll be really cool. And I'm very excited for Fiesta
It'll definitely
Texas.
help tie things together for sure.
And then, I mean, since we're on the topic of Six Flags already, we could talk about Over Georgia real quick. Sorry, Kings Island, we're gonna keep skipping over you.
Oh my god, bro, you're right. So the whole reason we opened up this video was Bobcat.
Yeah.
And I just it's 1 second.
It's literally 1 second.
I mean, maybe I'm overreacting. I mean, I'm definitely overreacting.
There was another video I saw where it showed
I guess
off
it's not that big of a deal.
the thing for 30 seconds.
Sorry,
so I just don't know where that video is.
I guess it's not that big of a deal because it's like so far in advance that you don't even need to get a majority of the people that would be your prospective clientele interested in it yet, because it's so early. They're just going to forget about it by the time it opens. But yeah, whatever. What are we on to? Over Georgia?
Over Georgia, they're getting an Intamin Ultra Surf Coaster, the first of its kind, which it is very similar to a mock Power Splash, but it is pretty different at the same time. Like the basic concept is the same. You're going to be rolling backwards and forwards with a launch, with a little airtime hill in the middle, and a giant splashdown at the end of the ride with two, nearly vertical, if not beyond vertical spikes. And I think that's a great concept in itself. This, however, is like the other surf coasters that Intamin has built in the past that include a spinning seat, or like a section of spinning seats. Two of those. And so you're going to be spinning around while doing these, nearly vertical spikes and the splashdown and the airtime hill. No name for this ride yet. They actually put out a public poll asking for good name suggestions. So we'll see.
Is it not called Ultra Surf? That's just like what they're using now. Since that's the name of the model.
Yeah, that's what they're doing now. But
see, okay, like Over Georgia at least has like a PDF or something on their website, like for like a visual representation of what the ride is like.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think the ride itself will be good for Georgia, especially in those hot summers. Hopefully it doesn't take 3 or 4 years like Aquaman did at Over Texas, although I know the pandemic kind of screwed that up, and then there was talk of a turntable, but then it stopped, and I don't really understand what happened from that point. I just know it's open now finally. But yeah, I think it'll be really good. I do know there are some complaints about the other versions of this model that aren't splashdown worthy. That the seats are not the most comfortable thing, but we'll see if they change them at all.
Oh, interesting. I mean, Intamin's usually pretty good about not making the same uncomfortable seats, repeating that, right? I feel like they're good at adjusting. Those other ones are over 10 years old, right? So I'd imagine they have they would just use something similar to their more modern seats that you see on a Velocicoaster or something like that, just in this specific design.
Well, so
I don't think that'll be a problem.
Looking at the one piece of concept art, it does have the new Intamin seats with the Intamin over-the-shoulder lap bars, so it should be just as comfortable as, Velocicoaster, Pantheon, those types of rides.
Yeah.
It looks to be almost exactly the same seat, which is great. 144-foot top height, 60 miles an hour, which I don't know if that's faster than Aquaman, but it might be. Let's see, Aquaman Power Wave. No, I'm incorrect. 62 miles an hour, 146 feet tall. Yeah,
I feel like that's pretty fast though for a ride that's not a continuous circuit, and it's probably going to get close to that top speed multiple times.
Yeah, definitely.
Since it is going back and forth.
Definitely.
My big concern with it is capacity, obviously.
Yeah.
What does it seat 20 people, and it definitely does not have a turntable in the rendering. So it just sucks that they're getting one of their most recent coasters. It was Daredevil Dive, right? Which seats 6 people per ride vehicle, and that's notorious for having the absolutely most miserable line in the park. You'd think you'd want to try and not do that again.
Yeah. Especially on a water ride that's definitely going to be high in demand.
Yeah. So there's going to be 3-hour waits for this in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's not ideal, but
Well, hey, think of it this way. At this rate, they'll have another coaster that they can check out, or technically 2, because Kid Flash Cosmic Coaster has not officially opened for this year yet. So they do have that to look forward to at Over Georgia and Fiesta Texas. Since we were just talking about those 2 parks, both of their Skyline Pescetti Bowl coasters are still under construction. I think the Fiesta Texas one is pretty close to open, which is good news. But I know the Over Georgia one just completed track work about a week ago. So,
I mean, they're really big projects, so it's not surprising that they're being delayed.
I will say the LED package is probably going to take a while to fully set up. I know that's been on the Fiesta Texas version for a while now. I don't even know if it's opened up yet, to be honest.
Well, dude, speaking of delayed openings, I mean, that Intamin launched Flume ride going into SeaWorld San Antonio.
Right, yeah.
That was delayed till 2024.
Uh-huh.
So it's like I have maybe like 2% faith in the fact that this will actually open before like fall of 2024.
Well, we at least know the log flume model at SeaWorld was testing for a while.
I know. That's why when they
Yeah.
said it was delayed, I'm like, what? That was about to open.
So they must have hit a pretty big snag that they were like, we need to rework some things. Which makes sense. It's a brand new type of ride.
That's a Intamin multi-launch water ride prototype. This is an Intamin launched water ride prototype.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I understand the thought process.
It's not.
But I will say,
Intamin water ride prototypes don't have the best track record.
Well, here's the thing, though.
To say the least.
I will give Over Georgia this. The Ultra Surf Coaster is using a restraint system that they've used in the past, a train system they've used in the past, a launch system they've used in the past.
You're right. It is almost just, yeah.
The only thing that's going to be different is that splashdown portion. And realistically, it's probably just going to be a couple fins that just dip down into the water like we see on the dive coasters from B&M. So
yeah, or fountains potentially even.
Yeah,
I'm not able to find the video right now, but
well, they're
like
in the video.
It looked like it could just genuinely just be like fountain squirting.
It's just a picture in the video, so it doesn't, or at least the video I'm looking at. Not that
general announcement video. I saw some somewhere else, but yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
I feel like you should be able to find information for your new rides on your website, but that's just me. That's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking your brand new ride should actually be on your website, but that's just me.
Well, if we go to Kings Island's website, I'm sure we'll find something about Snoopy's Soapbox Racers, which is an exciting new Vekoma family boomerang, an hour and a half from Good Gravy.
Oh, by the way, sorry, just to jump back to the surf coaster real quick.
Yeah.
You can't currently name it because I clicked on the link and you get an error.
Yeah, they closed the poll. They did close the poll a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. Well, they didn't get rid of the button on the website, so maybe they want to take care of that as well as adding the video for it. Just some suggestions. Just some friendly, happy suggestions. I'm losing it today.
Well, it's been a while.
Yeah, tell me about Snoopy's.
Announcement season's been very awkward this year. I think we're finally starting to see maybe a little bit of the financial hardship from the 2020 and 2021 seasons kind of play out fully, is my guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been very interesting to see all of the decisions of the parks lately. And I don't really have a problem with most of these additions. I think a lot of them are very good. It's just sometimes they're not handling it the best in terms of like advertisement or just general media presence on it, which that's okay. But yeah,
for the most part, anything coming to a park is a positive.
Yeah.
But
right next to Flying Ace Aerial Chase at Kings Island in their Planet Snoopy, which might actually now be Camp Snoopy officially, or at least that portion of it might be Camp Snoopy. It's probably on the Kings Island website, is my guess. But super excited for a Vekoma family boomerang right there. It is a little weird with Good Gravy opening up in the same year, although the layouts are different enough where...
And Kings Island's new Camp Snoopy will feature the park's newest roller coaster. So yeah. That's great. Because that kids area in general is awesome, but Planet Snoopy versus Camp Snoopy aesthetics...
I'll always take Camp Snoopy.
Difference.
Yeah, always Camp Snoopy.
Oh man, these renderings look great.
They look fantastic.
I love just like the woodsy aesthetic versus like the like dated like poppy bright colors. This looks awesome.
And it looks like they have a new like play / seating area. Flying Ace Aerial Chase is going to get a repaint, it looks like, to look more like a tree, which I think is cool.
It looks so good.
They'll probably change the theming with it a little bit. And then you have, of course, Snoopy's Wacky Soapbox Racers. Did I just say Wacky Soapbox Racers? Oops.
I think you did, but that's fair.
Snoopy's Soapbox Racers, I think, is going to be fantastic for the park. Another family edition, which I think is great for Kings Island. They don't need another crazy, ridiculous coaster. I mean, maybe something along...
I mean, they don't need much of anything, bro.
Yeah,
they're just such a well-rounded park that this is just... Like, they don't even need a family coaster, but it's great that they're getting one.
Yeah, totally.
It's variety in the family coaster department, though, that's for sure.
This one is not as intense as Good Gravy, it would seem, just in like angle of ascent and descent on that main spike. It's definitely not as steep on that. The length is 672 feet, height of 75 feet, top speed of 37 miles an hour. So around the same stats. I can pull both up right now and compare real quick. But at least layout wise, it is different enough with its like helix and with all the theming around it being very different. I'm sure, families in the area are going to enjoy both of these rides equally. And I'm very excited for it. Let's see. About the same speed.
I didn't even think about the park that they serve like a similar demographic.
Same height. These are within like 1 or 2 miles an hour or feet. Length, though, Snoopy is about 50 feet shorter. So, not that makes a crazy difference, but the layout here does seem to be more compact to fit within that area a little better. So it's just like a helix or 2 different helices and maybe like a little airtime hill before you get to that spike, which I think if it's themed like it is in the render is going to be fantastic. Honestly,
it looks awesome.
Might be one of my favorite announcements of the year. And it gets me really excited to see if we're getting something very similar at Knott's.
Oh, I mean, with these like launch family coasters coming to like 3 Cedar Fair parks in the last 2 years, because Canada Wonderland opened theirs. I forget which manufacturer that was. But it's like in
Art Engineering, but it's very similar. Yeah,
they're very similar in being family launch coasters with a moderate ride experience. It feels like there's no other option for Knott's, right?
Well, and replace, here's the thing:
Timberline Twister.
At the size this is at, it makes more sense in the Timberline Twister plot than the one that went to Canada's Wonderland. And also that name, if they have that name ready to go, Snoopy's Soapbox Racers, what a perfect, tribute to Wacky Soapbox Racers back in the day. Like, it just makes sense.
And it seems like Vecoma's willing to make these trains look like whatever, or whoever is fabricating the design for the ride vehicles themselves. So they can have the aesthetic of the train itself look like Knott's Berry Farm's defunct Soapbox Racers. Mm-hmm. So that would be pretty freaking cool as well. So
and
it seems like the no-brainer choice. It seems like there's no way it would be anything else.
And it'll be better than
maybe
Timberline
not
Twister.
maybe not that exact theme, but like at least this style of coaster. And you can like mangle these to fit any footprint you want.
Totally.
Like it seems like
it can be completely custom
like it's
layout
like the
too.
easiest thing to just tweak a little differently to fit exactly how you want it. So I think yeah. I don't know why, but that also seems like an insanely exciting prospect as well.
If I had to hope for
even this one,
if I had to hope for any ride that's going into that plot, I would hope it's this. Sure, it won't service me the best, like, because I like things like Accelerator and Ghost Rider, but man, oh man, it would be so good for the park. It would be fantastic.
There's even, I'm going to send you over one of the images from the rendering. Mm-hmm. If you zoom in under the sign, that like literally looks like the old Soapbox Racer ride vehicle.
That is.
So like, so it's like, at the very least, there'll even be like a nod to the Knott's ride at Kings Island if that specific aspect of the rendering holds true.
Yeah.
Which that seems like an oddly specific design to put in the rendering.
Here's the thing.
If it's not going to tie in. And they love to tie in the different Cedar Fair parks. That's like, I don't love everything Cedar Fair does always, but that's one of the things that I do appreciate. And it is always fun seeing the tie-ins, CFCU, if you will.
That makes me, I didn't even realize that. It's even got the red wheels in it. If they go through with this idea at Knott's, which we'll see, we don't know. They already have one of the cars still
right
in one of the gift shops back next to Berry Tales. You could just, give that a couple good, rollovers of some waterproofing and boom.
Just have it on display permanently there.
It would be so cool to have that. And maybe just like a small
I love how
plaque.
the thing that we're most excited about so far is Kitty Coaster.
But it makes sense.
But, yeah.
I think that's why we like it so much. It makes sense.
I think that's why I'm hyped about it too.
To the park. And also you have the whole area redo with it being Camp Snoopy. It's not just the ride we're talking about. It's about, half of their kiddie area being completely changed. So,
not to get too insane here, and this is something that makes a little less sense than all of this other stuff being like, yes, it would be crazy for this not to be the case, but would even be possible for there to be parallel tracks doing multiple, having two of these in one plot is also something that's possible that would also honor the actual side-by-side racing aspect, because plopping a second track following the same layout would not take up much more space, although that's a lot more of a pipe dreamy scenario as opposed to something that is likely to happen.
I think station
that
space
would be dope as well.
The station space is the hardest sell on that.
True.
So, because it's like you'd have to have two separate entrances and exits, which take up a lot of space.
Right, true. In a perfect world, a man can dream.
It's technically doable if you make the station skinny enough. So
it would be that much cooler to actually for it to be actually racing.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. I mean, oh man, that would be perfect. But yeah, again, I think that's probably more along the lines of a pipe dream than just the singular.
Right. Because racers would then just be in name only.
Yeah. Well, you could argue, right, that you're racing with the person next to you, even though you're in the same seat. Don't worry about it.
You couldn't argue. I mean, sure, you could argue anything, I guess, but I just wouldn't listen to that argument.
Well, just like Bobcat is the first of its kind, right? Anyway, so yeah, we're most excited about that right now. Look at us being Kings Island fanboys.
Yeah.
After that, though, Fire in the Hole 2.0.
What time are we at?
Just about an hour.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
Yeah,
make sure we weren't going
too
long.
Yeah. We probably won't get to Mario's Pennsylvania trip, so subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode where we'll be diving into that. Unless something major happens in between now and then. I don't know when the Knott's announcement will be. I'm guessing typically it's in November is when they announce stuff. So, which I've always found a little odd, but if it works for them, it works for them. So I think, if anything, it sells more passes for the next year, because that's when passes for the next year really start to kick off outside of Labor Day weekend. That's the wrong Fire in the Hole that I looked up on RCDB.
I have the link, like their press announcement, if you would like me to send you
I mean, you can send me that if you'd like.
Did our opening screen look this bad when we opened? Well, that's that's okay. It's not aligned perfectly, but yeah. So I don't know anything about this. Like, I know they announced that like RMC's doing it. I've seen some of the progress on social media, just following Silver Dollar City and glancing at it every now and then. But I mean, would you like to fill me in?
So I'll cover this very loosely. I personally am a believer that if you haven't ridden Fire in the Hole, you should know nothing about it, because it is just so unbelievably quirky and fun, and legitimately might be my favorite ride at Silver Dollar City, with the exception of Outlaw Run, like the sole exception of Outlaw Run. the story, if you know the story, is going to be staying mainly the same, which I am super excited about. I love that they're tying it into the local history. If you've seen Retro Rides on my channel, I don't know if you watched it, Mario. Did you? You might have.
For Fire in the Hole?
Well, no, for Retro Rides, way back when.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I've tried to avoid anything Fire in the Hole related, just because I
fair enough.
Want to experience it for myself. So, yeah,
it's
probably not.
It takes local history and brings it directly to the park. And when I mean local history, I mean literally the land that the park sits on currently, which I love that aspect of it. And it's a very interesting history if you know. There was some. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the word on YouTube, but it starts with a T and it ends with an errorism. So it's a very interesting concept. Maybe a little much for a family audience at times, but the way they handle it is very good. It is
an interesting choice.
Yeah. Well, once you know the whole story, I think you're like, oh, okay, that's actually kind of an interesting premise, the way they have it set up. It's not as awful as it was in real life, as I found out studying for Retro Rides. Yeah, so realistically, you are a volunteer firefighter. There's a fire in town. You gotta put it out, and it takes you on this crazy dark ride / kind of coaster thing. Really hard to describe. Don't want to describe it more than that. All I know is that it's super fun, and pretty much anybody from I think they advertise it as the age of 6 to 96 can ride it, or 4 to 94, something like that. And yeah, the original is closing this year. Well, technically next year. January 3rd is its last day of operation, which I'm hoping we can get out there in the next couple of months, because I'd like Mario to experience the original.
If you're 95, will they not let you on?
I don't know. It's a great question. It's like those board games that are for everyone ages 9 to 99.
It's just cheeky.
What if you're 100 years old? You can't play Sorry anymore?
Or if how do they enforce that too? They're not checking everyone's driver's license. Yeah, excuse me, sir, you look really freaking old. I'm gonna have to check your license. You look like you might be 100, bro. You look like you don't have a lot of time left. Can I check your driver's license, please?
Oh man.
Oh, 98. You're free to ride. Have fun, sir.
But yeah, the ride is, from everything we've heard, from the announcement, the press release, it's going to be exactly the same, but with extra scenes, which I'm very excited about. There were scenes throughout the years that were taken out of the ride for one reason or another, but they're adding some of those older scenes back in, or creating new scenes entirely, which I think is really cool. And I think they said it was the largest investment they've made for a single ride. I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, let's see. $30 million, which it might be less than Time Traveler was, but I can't remember. I can check on RCDB real quick. But it's awesome. Oh yeah, Time Traveler was only 26, so I guess it is their most expensive attraction.
It's pretty cheap, I feel like, for that cool of a ride.
Yeah, I would say so too, especially with the terrain it goes over and whatnot. But yeah, Fire in the Hole, it'll be great for everyone in the family. Manufactured by RMC officially, which is kind of crazy. I hope they keep it the way it was, if you know what I mean. Yeah, this and Kings Island are my favorite announcements of the year so far, and probably will be until Knott's announces whatever they're building. But yeah, Fire in the Hole, it's gonna be awesome.
What kind of track did the original run on?
Who made it?
Wooden?
Or
I mean, just the wood, steel.
It is a steel track, I believe.
Because I'm just looking at some of these pictures, and they're giving a similar vibe to Black Diamond at Knoebel's Constructions photos, but with RMC track instead of wooden track. I guess I'll pull that up for reference for viewers, but not a really relevant question, just something that I was personally curious about. I would say
the track is fairly similar to Black Diamond. It's just a lot bigger.
Okay, for sure.
But the new RMC track looks like RMC track more so than Black Diamond track, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah. Also, if you're going to be a pass holder for next year, they will have a season pass pre-sale October 9th through the 31st. So, yeah, that'll be cool. So if you're planning to go next year for the new Fire in the Hole, if you want to buy a pass to save some money if you're there for more than 2 days, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea whatsoever. I'm very happy for it. I'm excited. I was really worried before they announced it that they were going to change a lot of things, but they're keeping it almost exactly the same and then just plussing it, which I think is going to be cool. So, yeah. Sorry for ranting on that one a little bit, but I know you haven't experienced it.
No, you're good. I know nothing about it, so yeah. I mean, I'm enjoying the pictures of it.
It's really cool. It's
cool to see it like all like layered and I don't know.
Imagine,
that's cool.
Imagine.
I've heard nothing but good things about it, or I've heard nothing but people saying they like it, and to just experience it for myself.
Well, how do you feel about Calico Mine Ride?
Good. It's good. I like it.
Okay, imagine that, but better.
I'm sort of almost even like imagining like Black Diamond, but like more cohesive, probably.
Yes.
Because Black Diamond is sort of Black Diamond's actually kind of Calico Mine Ride-y, but just like not like really a specific story or anything. Well, neither is Calico Mine Ride, but just like going through an environment with some fun set pieces, some stuff like popping out, but not really any coaster elements. Like,
okay, yeah,
RCDB classifies it as a coaster, but any of the descents like immediately hit brakes. So I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, I it seems like it would probably just be a more fun version of that, and that was fun. So if it's better, then cool and good.
Yeah, and the storyline, while confusing, maybe on a first ride through, it does make a lot more sense the more you ride it. So,
I mean, I don't think a ride has to have too cohesive and understandable of a story. As long as you're having fun, as long as I'm having fun, I don't care.
Well, there's an obvious villain, and
the fire in the hole.
Sure. You could say that's the antagonist, maybe. Not really.
The protagonist is the hole, and the antagonist is the fire.
That's what I was saying after having the hot sauce at Knott's a couple weeks ago. Anyway, that was really awful. I'm sorry. Yeah. So what's after Fire in the Hole? Which hopefully we can make it to the original this year. But
I mean, the Disney stuff is probably not.
If you want me to rant, I'll rant.
Well, the Disney stuff is probably not what our viewers. I feel like most of people watching this are probably more interested in coastery stuff.
Yeah, probably.
And there's also so much Disney announcement stuff.
we could tie in
while also not
Herschend.
Being too much stuff. You know what I mean?
Like if we wanted to keep talking about
I think
Herschend,
Dollywood's
right?
good. Yeah, let's go to Lightning Rod.
Lightning Rod, no launch. Bye. Sad.
Plus, also the Disney stuff is gonna take like forever to develop, probably, and a lot of it's maybes anyway. So it's like not something that couldn't be talked about at a later point.
I could take a Top Thrill 2 stance with it and just be like, this bad, and then we could move on, honestly. So, because I'm not exactly, if you know any of the D23 announcements that happened, I am not excited for pretty much all of
we could
them.
literally just bounce through the bullet points.
Okay, sure. Zootopia replacing Tough to Be a Bug. Yeah, let's have a story about human problems in the Tree of Life, but in Zootopia fashion. Like, what are you doing? What bugs make sense inside a tree?
Yeah.
Yes, sure, it's scary, whatever. But putting literal like humanoid versions of animals in a humanoid city with humanoid problems defeats the whole purpose of Animal Kingdom.
If you redo Zootopia, but all the animals are just humans instead, you have the exact same movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
I understand people's frustration there with the limited amount of knowledge that I have about Disney World in general.
Like, it should not be at Animal Kingdom. Put it at any other park, straight up.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, maybe not Epcot
with that for sure.
Epcot, maybe not. But Indiana Jones might be replacing Dinosaur, which I'm personally kind of iffy on. Like, I haven't been able to check out Dinosaur. I don't think it makes sense in Animal Kingdom necessarily.
But that's also at Animal Kingdom, so I can understand people's frustration with that as well.
There was also talks of Encanto going to that section of the park as well, which if you tie it enough into the jungles of South America, then sure, that could be really cool. But outside of that, yeah, I'm not sure on Indiana Jones, but Encanto could work. It'd be a little.
Well, it seems
loose,
like Disney
but
doesn't care about doing anything as far as new attractions are concerned that don't directly tie into an IP.
True.
Which makes it almost impossible to add anything new to Animal Kingdom without it being human related.
Yeah. And then speaking of IP, Marvel e-ticket attraction is officially going forward, ?
Speaking of IP, I'm going to go to the restroom.
Oh, yeah? Okay. All right, fair enough.
No, I'm not.
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh,
just sounded like that's where that would go.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, the e-ticket is officially maybe coming to California Adventure. Probably not until like 2029 at this point, at the earliest. Okay.
Okay, great announcement. Woo.
Yeah. Test Track 3.0 is happening, even though they just redid it like a decade ago. And every other ride at that park outside of Guardians and Frozen should get a reboot first. But I will say I do like how they're tying it back into the ride that was originally there. I think it was, oh man, I'm going to piss off the Epcotians real quick. I think it was Horizons, right? I don't know. I've never been. I've seen the ball from a distance.
I don't know nothing about nobody.
I've seen Spaceship Earth, the giant golf ball from Volcano Bay. That's my only experience with Epcot.
Oh, me too. I've seen the big golf ball too.
And then the only good thing that came about was a Figment meet and greet out of the entire D23 panel, in my opinion. And I honestly don't think the Figment character looks that good either. So yeah, there you go. D23 Disney.
Those are the things.
Not my favorite right now. Let's just say that. Like, I just don't understand where they're trying to go with the direction of everything parks related at this point. It really it feels like they're throwing a bunch of things at the wall and hoping something sticks, but nothing's sticking still. So
I will say, at least with Six Flags announcements, these are things that are actually going to happen, as opposed to like all these question marks. At least from what I'm hearing, I know nothing, so don't get mad at me. Get mad at Drew.
Well, no, seriously, about this. Most of the stuff they were announcing, they're like, we're talking about, we're thinking. It's like they did this last year too, and then they scrapped a bunch of those plans, and now they're thinking of different. It's like, if you want to go for a lane, right, choose it. And then announce it. Don't just be like, we're blue skying this for this place. And it's like, okay, well, we don't like that. Oh, well, then we're thinking about this instead. It's like, just choose something and go through with it before you announce, please.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Well, it was announced.
Lightning Rod
is turning Lightning Rod, the launch rather, into a high-speed lift.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Is it cooler to have a launched wooden coaster or an inclined launch on a coaster as opposed to a lift in general?
Yeah.
Yes. Is it cooler to have an open ride than a closed ride? Even more, yes.
Yeah, totally.
So, it just kind of makes sense.
It does.
I can understand people's disappointment in the disappearance of the launch.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it will no longer be a unique RMC anymore, although it is like a hybrid.
Yeah, I think somebody said it was
does have wooden track and steel track, so
57%
it is unique in that
steel, I think is what somebody said.
So it's unique in that respect, but I can understand the disappointment, but a bigger disappointment is going to the park multiple times and never being able to ride the attraction, which I've seen has been the case for a lot of visitors of Dollywood. So again, open ride better than closed ride.
Yeah.
I think that's what it boils down to. I don't know. Your thoughts?
I agree. I mean, I'm sad because I never got to experience it myself with a launch in general. I know that I will never be able to have the experience that people did in 2016 when the launch was full powered with the full front zero car and all this other stuff. And so like that already kind of took the wind out of it, right?
Exactly. It's like it was never going, you were never going to be able to ride it in its fullest form.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Which in itself is a pretty big bummer to me personally. 'Cause like That ride has always been talked about how great it is. I adore Outlaw Run, so if it's anything like that, I should love it just as much. But yeah, kind of bummed. But at the same time, if it's open, more than 2 days a week, that feels like a better decision overall. So,
and they're also claiming that everything else is going to remain the same, including the top speed. So
yeah, they say the top speed is going to stay at 73. I mean, that might change honestly, but one thing that is changing is the trains. I heard they're going to replace the trains entirely. So,
yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Yeah, and so hopefully
they're gonna have a lift underneath instead of a launch.
Hopefully they can put the zero car back on. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I can't imagine they wouldn't.
So, because I know that was affecting the launch because of how heavy it was or something. There was a lot of stuff.
Well, and it's not like any lift-based RMC has had any issues with a zero car before, so I can't imagine the rest of the layout is a problem.
Yeah.
The only thing that would really suck is that if this doesn't make this pretty much like 95% reliable. You know what I mean? Like if they still have significant, like even if it's like drastically reduced downtime, but if it still has a decent amount of downtime, that will be incredibly frustrating. Although I think there's pretty much no scenario in which the downtime isn't at least slightly improved.
It'll be better for sure. And if it's not, then that's a whole new issue that they're going to have to figure out.
But it's not like RMCs are like in general considered the most reliable things.
True.
And it does say specifically a high speed chain lift. So it sounds like they will be trying something new there as well. So I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, speaking of Dollywood further, the Golden Ticket Awards happened last week, which I figure we can get into this a little bit before we end the episode today.
Sure.
Because Dollywood hosted. Dollywood came out a winner of so many things. Man, oh man, they really ran away with it this year, which I was kind of surprised by. Not in a bad way, of course, but like they won Best Christmas Event, which, okay, sure, that's expected. But then they also won Best Guest Experience. All right, sure. Yeah, I can believe that. Best Kids Area in Wildwood Grove. That was a shocker to me.
There's only a couple rides there, right? I think that's a little...
Well, they also just added Big Bear Mountain this year into that area, which won Best Family Coaster. And of course, this is an enthusiast run, polling system, so they're always going to push that up when they get a new coaster in that area anyway. But it also won Best Amusement Park for the first time ever, dethroning Europa. And that's the one where I'm like, whoa, really? Europa and Cedar Point.
I've never been, so I feel like I can't.
I haven't been either. But the fact that, Cedar Point or Europa Park hasn't won for the first time in all 25 years they've done this thing.
That is substantial.
It's kind of shocking. Now, of course, the coasters in first place haven't changed at all. Fury won again, even though it had its fiasco earlier this year. And I think Phoenix walked away with number 1 again for Wooden
Phoenix
Coaster.
Got Wooden Coaster again.
So, no surprises on the coaster list, realistically. Top 5 for Steel is Fury, Millennium Force, Velocicoaster sneaking above Steel Vengeance in 4th, and then Gwazi rounding out number 5. For Wooden, I think it's like Phoenix, and then Voyage, El Toro, Thunderhead at 4, and then Boulder Dash at 5.
Dude, it really seems like Dollywood, like, they don't... Thunderhead number 4 Wooden... that.
Well, I've heard a lot of people say it's the
seems
best
like
ride
a lot
in
of
the park.
stuff...
So...
It seems like a lot of Dollywood stuff was like pushed up because it's the event is there.
It does
Seems
feel like
sussy.
that. Yeah, I agree.
Seems
I
a little
totally agree.
sussy.
But
I'm not saying maybe it's not the best park, but I just feel like from an outsider's perspective, it looks like Europa has more overall to offer. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that Dollywood's more well-rounded than Cedar Point, But it's just so weird that out of nowhere Dollywood ends up on that list.
So here's the thing. They did win all of those same categories with the exception of Best Park last year. I'm looking at last year's list now.
Wait, even Best Kids Area?
Yes, even Best Kids Area. Thunderhead, though, was at number 10.
Last time I paid attention, that was Kings Island.
So Thunderhead
was at number 10.
Yeah, it was at number 10, so it went up 6 places in 1 year, which that's kind of crazy. I
don't know. I guess none of this really matters anyway.
Oh no, not at all. It's just a little interesting to see how the enthusiasts who have ridden 600 coasters seem to feel about things.
Beast is number 6 and ahead of Mystic Timbers, Ravine Flyer 2, Ghost Rider, and I think
and
you
Outlaw
and I both
Run.
prefer those last 3.
Oh yeah,
and in your case 4, I guess, above the Beast significantly.
Yeah, let me see how many rides I prefer above Beast in the wooden coaster category. 1, 2, 3, 4, haven't ridden. 5, haven't ridden. Haven't ridden. Haven't ridden. Haven't ridden. Haven't ridden.
Legend is like criminally low at 21. I feel like.
Let me just keep going.
I would
7.
Take Legend any day.
There's probably a good almost 10 rides in the wooden list.
Raven at 26, bro?
I don't understand.
Raven was so mid with Peace and Love. Boardwalk Bullets at 30, and I know not a ton of people ride it.
And it's
I don't understand how this thing even works.
It's tied with Wooden Coaster at P&E. Grizzly at King's Dominion's 42.
Pretty much every coaster underneath Beast actually does something throughout the ride. So.
Dude, Switchback is at 50. I'd put Switchback over the Beast.
I would too. Not by much.
Not by much, but I would. Oh,
it does
man.
more things. Invader, I'd put over it. Grizzly at King's Dominion, 100% over the Beast.
Yeah, it's just always
Comet
funny.
at Hershey Park. Comet at Hershey Park is in the top 50. That's surprising. That was like one of the most, like for the scale, like tame coasters I've been on, and not even in a bad way. I just like didn't really toss you around.
I will
in
say,
any direction.
You have
That's odd.
The least enthusiastic outlook on that ride of anybody I've heard. So,
really,
yeah, everybody I've ever heard. It's like ejector airtime, OMG, best wooden coaster in the park.
Maybe in the front, because I rode it in the back. I tried to ride it in the front, and then like they called me up to ride in an empty row to get a full train.
Oh yeah,
but it just takes the airtime hills at the end so slow.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like, I thought it had the potential to be like amazing because it's like 10 back to back airtime hills, which if you were taking them fast, it has buzz bars, so you'd go flying. But
yeah.
So I don't know if I guess if people are riding it with it going fast, like it would be amazing.
Well, it's like when it comes to going back to Beast real quick. When it comes to Beast and Millennium Force are always going to be in the top 10, regardless of what we're thinking, which I always find interesting. Like Millie's in 2.
Yeah.
2. Like I put rides.
Yeah, I know that's so weird, man. Like
Millennium Force is one of my favorite rides of all time. Like legitimately one of my favorite rides of all time.
4,
but I would
5.
put something that's in, all the way up to the 30th place above it at times. So it's so fascinating to see what ends up kind of stacking into itself and
7.
how it all works out. Because I mean, this is the type of thing that got me into the every ride ranked at whatever park by you series, was just finding out what people think overall. So
I put 12 rides in this list above it that are below.
Well, you've ridden a lot more rides on this list than I have.
I-305, 100%. Somehow Intimidator at Carowinds is like way above Twisted Colossus,
which makes no sense.
It's
but
confusing. Sure. Big Bear Mountain ended up in the top 50 steel coasters.
Which Cliff did say it was like the second best ride in the park, which I still find kind of hard to believe, but I'm going to let him have that.
I mean, do you think it's better than New Texas Giant? Like, as someone who's been on neither, like, would you really think it'd be better than an RMC?
I wouldn't think so.
Wildcats Revenge is at 40. Oh my God.
Wait.
Because I know, I don't know too much about how this works, but it's not based on how many people have, it's not based on total votes. I know it's like kind of like averaged out or whatever. So you're telling me Wildcats Revenge is worse than a family coaster?
The lowest ranking I've
Things.
seen Wildcats Revenge at by somebody who's ridden it is like 4.
Yeah.
What? And it won.
I've not seen it. Yeah.
It won like
it won Best New Coaster.
yeah,
right?
Best New Coaster, and then Airy Force won
Airy Force
Best New
New
Attraction,
right?
which I don't understand those
Yeah.
categories. Those are really kind of dumb. But where's
I think probably just they were both 2 new big ones and they split them up. Maybe I don't know.
See Airy
But
Airy
Force
Force
one's at
25. Okay. Maybe it's just because it had more time for people to ride it or something. I don't know.
I don't understand it, bro. I don't understand. It feels like they fluffed Dollywood, bro. But whatever.
Oh yeah,
Again,
Lightning
none
Rod
of this matters.
Lightning Rod is officially on the steel list now, by the way. Number 14.
I didn't even process that. I noticed that I saw it, but I didn't even process that it's on the steel list.
Which makes sense, honestly. So
I mean, the topper track is already like pretty close to being a steel coaster.
Even the dude who designed it,
classification.
Alan Schilke literally was like, I classify it as steel track because it's more than 50% steel. So
I guess I don't really have any qualms either way because I really don't care about classification as much as ride experience, obviously. So I don't know. And this is why several enthusiasts, including yourself, do alternatives to these things because it's so nonsensical and pulling from a seemingly like mysterious group of people that have a limited opinion set, I feel like. So
yeah
I don't know, man. Whatever. Who cares? Phoenix was one that did not upset me, though, being ranked so high up, because I don't think it's definitely not my personal favorite, but I could just, like, no one's gonna not like it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's why Millennium Force does well, is also is just, it's like fun to just about anyone.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the vibe with Phoenix. Who doesn't want to go on a fun ride that's gonna float you up out of your seat like 20 times? So
exactly. Yeah, and the event sponsors were also the main one was Vekoma. That was their gold sponsor. Who built Big Bear Mountain?
Big Bear Mountain.
I just find that name really funny because
it's
Southern California's,
I know when I first saw Big Bear, I'm like, the mountain coaster in Big Bear Lake, California. I'm like, no.
Well, it
makes as much sense.
That's even more funny because that Big Bear, like the coaster on Big Bear Mountain, is at a place called Magic Mountain, which is a whole
it's all kinds of confusing. Yeah,
it's only things that we would know about that we're like kind of weirded out by, though. Like only specifically Southern Californian coaster enthusiasts that know what Dollywood is. Like it's oh man. But it's a conspiracy.
There's no way it's better than Wildcats Revenge. There's no way it's better than New Texas Giant. I mean, I guess New Texas Giant is pretty particular. Like some people aren't the biggest fans of it. Some people do like it a lot. So
maybe New Texas.
But no one's not liked Wildcats Revenge.
Yeah.
I've not seen a single negative reaction to it. Or like I've not seen anything other than a glowing review of it.
Mm-hmm.
Not even like a slight disappointment or like slightly underperformed compared to expectations. Like nothing.
Yeah.
Twisted Timbers as well. Like what? Also, even like something like Goliath, that seems to be like everyone's favorite or second favorite hypercoaster that's been on it at over Georgia.
Yeah, it's very odd to hear. Like maybe it's just like
Pantheon even like
maybe it's just a weird. Maybe the voting system is probably made up of a quiet minority where the all the yelling we hear is from a louder minority, maybe, if that makes any sense. Like maybe there's no majority in there, maybe there is.
I don't know.
It's very weird because then again, we're always hearing like the takes of YouTubers like you and I hate saying that.
Yeah, but like like since I had my Hershey trip this year, like I've been in the Hershey subreddit, so it's like I seen like from very small posts with like almost no engagement all the way up to the biggest YouTuber. So I feel like it's been a large scope, and I've seen nothing but good things about it, other than it being closed, obviously. But that's not related to ride experience whatsoever. I just mean like Pantheon, like a large, high thrill multi-launch coaster isn't as good as a family one. Like maybe it's more agreeable than Pantheon. Maybe it's more agreeable.
Yeah, I don't know.
Goliath at Over Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Goliath at Over Georgia is like 20 spots behind Intimidator at Carowinds, which doesn't have like the most like unified positive opinion of it.
Yeah. Hmm. Well, I'm looking.
They have too many old people too. Because like no, for real. Because like Apollo's Chariot has just been around forever,
Well,
so that's at 11. But then Candemonium's like at like 30 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Candemonium at? 24. It's like Candemonium is so much better. Like again, everyone's metric for what they like in a coaster is going to be like slightly different. But I feel like a ride doing things to your body that it doesn't do on a roller coaster is like what most people are interested in, and Candemonium just does more to your body than Apollo's Chariot.
Yeah.
And that's I don't get it. I don't like it.
It's really weird.
It's stupid.
Yeah, this is the whole reason
Golden
I do
Ticket Awards,
I do what I
more
do,
like stupid ticket awards. Am I right? More like brown ticket awards because it's poopy.
Remember the Twisted Ticket Awards by me? That was literally in direct response to the Golden Ticket Awards being.
No, I know. That's what I was saying. That's what I was like. These are so like
speaking
weird
of which,
and like arbitrary.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish last year's / the last 2 years one. I think I have to wait for next year. I don't know. We'll see. But I was looking at
like doesn't like also like Airtime Thrills do one? Like
I think so.
There's multiple people that do ones that are like fan based, which seems like a much more like I guess definitive way of doing it. Like I know everything's going to be opinion based regardless, but I feel like it's more interesting to see what the general consensus is.
Yeah.
Rather than a small pool of people.
So
that isn't exactly like disclosed how it happens. It's like the Grammys or like any of like the other like actual like award show things. It's like so nonsensical.
Okay, so I was looking at the top 5s for all of the main categories, right?
Okay.
Best park, number 5, Kings Island. Agree. Number 4, Phantasialand. Agree. Number 3, Islands of Adventure. Agree. Number 2, Europa Park. Agree. Number 1, Dollywood. Agree. Cedar Point, for the first time in the history of the Golden Ticket Awards, is not in the top 5.
Wait, it's not even top 5?
Thank goodness.
I mean, I don't disagree with that, but even that is like so weird that out of nowhere it goes from like number 1 to 2 at worst.
Yeah. And
to
then
not even in the top 5.
It's very odd, yeah. I mean, granted, they did not have a great season last year from
weird.
everything I was hearing. And when we went when we went last year, it was not a good experience. So,
yeah.
And then Knott's, if you're curious.
I forgot we even went last year. I was
know.
like, I think he misspoke. We went in 2019.
I thought it was,
nope.
Yeah.
We went last year.
We went literally 13 months ago.
It's not doing super duper
but
looper great.
Knott's is on 2 of the lists, if you're curious. They got second place on Best Halloween Event. Take that, Universal Studios Hollywood.
Oh wait, what got best?
Orlando.
HHN. Oh, okay,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah. And then 4th was Fiesta Texas. 5th was Europa Park.
4th was Fiesta Texas for Halloween event?
Yeah. I mean, granted, last time I was there during Halloween, it was very good. I was
I haven't
surprised,
been. I'm just surprised that a Six Flags park made the list. I wouldn't be surprised that they could put one on. I mean, they have like good dark rides. They have good ambiance. They have good shows.
The props were fantastic when I was walking around. There was a bunch of character interaction. It was a very good event, and that was back in 2018. I didn't go through any of the mazes that night, though, when I was there. But they have probably more props than any park I've seen. So,
Cool.
And then Knott's is also on the list for, I believe, best water ride. Where is it?
For Timber Mountain.
For Timber Mountain, yes. I'm trying to find it. Where'd it go?
For Perilous Plunge.
Oh no. Let's see. Yeah, Timber Mountain Log Ride. First place Valhalla. Second place Dudley Do Rights, which number 3 Chiapas. Number 4. Like, I'm sorry, but Chiapas is better. Like, I haven't been on either, but I know Chiapas is better.
I mean, Dudley's is like one of the most thrilling, I guess.
Sure,
it's cool.
but like,
it's cool. It's good.
Full experience wise, though, Chiapas literally has a backwards drop.
Yeah,
Spoilers.
for sure.
And then 5th was
again, but that's one that isn't like mind-boggling to me because it's like, you know, roller coastery people voting on it, so like it's not like confusing.
You ready for 5th?
Yes.
Aquaman Power Wave at Six Flags Over Texas.
No way. Really? That's funny. That's funny.
And then going to the best new like roller coaster, Wildcats was first, Airy Force 1 second, Big Bear Mountain 3, Tutatis 4, and then Zambezi Zinger 5. Best new family attraction, Mario Kart 1, Runaway Railway was number 2, Draken Falls was 3, Utah Falls was 4, Treasure Hunt the Ride was 5. I've not heard of multiple of those. And then best new attraction installation, which is what Airy Force 1 won, got first. Mario Kart 2, Tutatis 3, Leviathan at SeaWorld Australia 4, and then Big Bear Mountain at 5. I still don't understand those differences, but what you gonna do? Yeah, man, oh man, what a time to be alive. Thanks, Golden Tickets, for being super perplexing yet again for another year.
Yeah, it's whatever. Who cares? Good for the parks that win, I guess. Good for their publicity and stuff, but ultimately,
if they use it, I feel like a lot of parks don't even use it. So, but
really,
I mean, we know the Universal and Disney parks definitely don't.
That's true. I guess they don't need to. It's kind of like tacky for them too, and they're trying to like build a whole immersive world. If they were to have like a big sign talking about an award,
yeah, it's just kind of odd.
Although
I mean, they can post.
I think Mythos has.
Oh yeah,
like, their best restaurant. Is that even in a category still? Probably not.
No, it's not even. It wasn't
best food.
It was. But
that's not
the best
category.
Theme park food. Quoted by Theme Park Insider. It's not even like an award or anything.
Oh,
it's
really?
just a quote. Yeah,
Oh,
I forgot
shoot.
about that. Oh man, that's
wow.
great.
Well, I don't even care because it's
great.
It's true. It's definitely true.
Yeah, totally. But like, it's just thinking about it now. I'm like, it's literally just a quote from Theme Park
funny.
Insider. Oh,
that's
man.
really weird. Yeah, that's actually even worse than posting like a Golden Ticket Award win.
Yeah,
best food, Knoebels. I mean, Knoebels food is really good, but it's like really good fair food, kind of. So it's just kind of weird to win that.
Yeah,
category.
let's see.
Especially when Knott's exists.
Number 1 theme park restaurant in the world, in quotations, 6 years in a row. Theme park. I don't know whether it says influencer or insider. No, it says insider. Okay. And then there's
a theme park influencer said this.
But then there's a second banner apparently that
Best
they put
theme
up.
park restaurant. Somebody.
So they've had multiple banners throughout the years because this picture says awarded, quote, world's best theme park restaurant by Theme Park Insider. So they literally are replacing this every year because what?
That's tacky. Yeah, so like, I understand none of the other awards going up.
I didn't even
just like be like, hey, we got really good stuff. Come on in.
I mean, I can't disagree, but like at the same time, it's like, what? Why?
No, but again, it's just a quote from like one person. Like that's something you put like on a blog post. Like, look, this person said this about us. Isn't that great? Not something you have like plastered on a sign.
Anyway,
that's funny.
This was a long one, but a fun one.
Yeah, that should just about do it. How long have we been going?
I'm
tired.
About an hour and a half when we cut some stuff from the beginning. So. Yeah. We got some Loopy. We got some dudes. We got some announcements. some golden ticket award
talk. What do y'all
talk.
think about the announcements?
Yeah,
What do you think about the awards?
If you're still watching,
what do you think about Drew's shirt?
Like,
what do you think about my shirt?
Yeah. Yeah, what's better, my shirt or Mario's shirt? Let me know. Watch everyone be like, the Velocicoaster shirt.
Hot. Yeah. But honestly, yours looks significantly better than this one.
I never really cared for the hyper realistic shirts in the first place, so like.
No. Yeah. I got this because I worked there.
Well, the only
shirt.
I
got one for working there anyway. So.
The only shirt I got for Velocicoaster was a freaking Mr. DNA shirt because it was like the only one that didn't have a design like that. So it doesn't even tie to the ride itself.
Like overtly graphic design.
Yeah.
That's how I think.
Like I'll take the more simplistic, I mean, this one's a little more rustic, kind of vintage, like torn up type of look, but like
more subtle, I guess you could say too.
Yeah. But yeah, if you want one, parksbrosapparel.com. Yeah.
Oh, I don't even think you said that at the beginning. You slap it on screen, I guess.
Well, it'll be in the description.
I just don't like listening to you when we do the podcast.
That's
I
fair.
just wait for you to stop talking so that I can start.
No, that's understandable. I get it.
No, No, the real problem is I'm bad at multitasking, so I can't click and listen at the same time.
Well, it's all good.
I think I only cut screens once. Also,
that's fine.
I've been on this Chrome tab showing almost nothing.
Oh, really? That's great. I love that. But yeah,
no, not actually. I mean,
we're getting
more
more
the Golden Ticket Awards. I've just been scrolling through the list multiple times, just scrolling back and forth.
Yeah, we're just getting more and more loopy.
You can put a Subway Surfer and Kinetic Sand.
Dude, yeah, that'll be great. I would love to do that randomly and just see.
Or just a random coaster POV. That's what I should have open in another tab. Is just a coaster POV on loop to just put that on to keep people's attention.
What if watch time goes up if I do that?
That would be good. Watch time is good.
Anyway, if you're still watching for some reason, subscribe because obviously you're okay with us chilling out for 90 minutes just talking shop and being all loopy and weird. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching.
If you're still watching, comment your favorite theme park food so that we know you actually watched.
Oh yeah, it's a great idea.
Then we will tell you good job for watching to the end.
Yeah, we'll give you a little heart.
Sure, yeah.
But we're back.
That's more valuable than anything.
We're back, kind of. I mean, we'll see when we're back next.
Happy to be back. Do you see this smile?
Yeah, he's so happy.
Indicates happiness.
But you look like a me character right now. Anyway, with that all said,
I feel like a me character. There's nothing going on in here.
Thank you all so much for still being here. Until another 8 months from now.
Stay loopy.
We like to do a bunch of loops. And we don't do drugs. We don't do drugs. We don't do drugs. We only like to ride coasters, no drugs. We don't do drugs. Drugs are for people that we don't do drugs.